we've talked about what our like and dislike of the root versus no root and all of that. I'm not trying to get back into the preference side of it,
Mhm.
but what have you guys seen as the community response to that? Have the devs come out and said anything saying, "Hey, we saw an overwhelming overwhelming support for one versus the other"? I haven't been hip to a lot of the Ashes stuff recently, but I'm curious if you guys have seen anything that has them leaning one way or the other, and if not, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Please tell us. Uh,
Um, I yeah, I think they're pretty much just going to go down the no root thing. That's my own personal feeling. I don't think they've ever said anything, at least recently. Maybe we'll get something in about a week here, week and a half with the dev stream, is my guess. It could be. I mean, that would be a good forum discussion as well, right? I think that would be a good one.
Yeah.
You've had a chance to try it. Tell us what you think. What's the overall response? My overall response, like everyone I talked to, was like, "Yeah, no root is way better."
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was way better for action combat. I thought it sucked for tab combat, but that's because I don't like the light attack. I think that the style of light attack that they have does not go with tab combat. And so it just doesn't feel very good. Having to hold down Q while you're trying to move around and maneuver is weird, and just doesn't work. But when you were in the action combat mode, the root motion, or not the root motion, but the split combat was way better. It was so much, but you could feel like you knew you could control your character again.
It was the first time that I opted into action combat and stayed in it. And I say opted in because in previous sieges, some of them were bugged to where we had to be in action.
Mhm.
And so this is the first time that I voluntarily opted into action combat and loved
and stayed in it. That did the exact same thing for me. I played it in action combat the whole time. I hated it in tab, and it's gotten me. I'm moving more and more rapidly towards Superville, where I'm like, I do not care if it's tab or action. Just fucking pick one, drop the other, and start working on the one. I don't care anymore. That's so. I'm about to become mayor of Superville.
I'm right there with you. Pick one, and obviously I'm leaning towards tab. But honestly, it wouldn't matter one way or another. I'm just worried about the amount of time and the ability to get it to feel right with this weird hybrid. Not really weird, just with the hybrid system, I'm a little weird. Or it is, I don't know. It's different from what we're used to, right? And I think it just takes so much time and effort to get any system right that, like, I don't know if that's going to double, or even, like, because they're interconnected, triple the amount of time and effort to get it to feel right. I
mean, for me, it purely comes down to it's the jack of all trades, master of none, or master of one. So it's that idea. And also, from kind of taking from that, is that in a game as in depth and as many breakpoints as there are for balancing within Ashes of Creation, they're literally creating multiple breakpoints within the combat system rather than just baselining everybody at the same thing. Because not only now do you have to take into consideration the class, you have to take and the build and all the gear that they're wearing and all the other things that you have to normally do with any kind of character class balancing. You now have to keep in mind, okay, bonuses for critical hits, bonuses for hitting them in the back versus hitting them in the front. Like anything like that, you are now adding another level. And where if they were to just pick one or the other, that's fine. That's cool. Everybody's baselined there. But now we're going to have this constant struggle, and it will be constant because all balancing always is. But in my head, this is going to be even further more of a constant and more annoying. Is we're going to have basically this flavor of the month tab versus action.
Well,
more so than just a flavor of the month of mage, ice, or frost augment versus teleport augment. Like, we have another flavor of the month that we have to worry about now.
And that's my issue, and I've said this before, but I am worried about the barrier to entry with this hybrid style. It's even more that you need to figure out. It's even more complicated. One system or the other is always going to rise to the top for certain builds, right? That's the meta is going to form. People are going to be like, playing a 70% tab for this build is just better. So they're trying to be like, oh, we're going to accommodate everyone. But suddenly when you have to like, you're not really accommodating everyone because once you get to that end game, you're not going to want to just like play your like son. There's a niche players that will be like, I'm going to come up with my own builds. And then there are the players that like the content creators who play every single hour of the day and they actually theory craft and come up with the best builds. And then there are people who are like, I'm going to be the meta breaker. I'm going to play the meta breaker. But you're just adding in another level of complexity to this game that, I think might turn people away at a certain point. They'll start playing, they'll get familiar with the style they're used to playing, and then they'll get to endgame and everyone will be like, no, you can't play that. That's shit.
So here's a hot take, and this is I'm seeing where this could potentially lead into an additional question, but to me there is a thing as too much player agency. There really is, and I think when it comes to a game. Yeah. So I think that, and again, it goes back to if we kind of baseline somewhere, I think Ashes is planning on having a lot of good player agency, a lot of play the game that you want the way that you want to. But to Bard's point, I think that for the barrier to entry side, it's because the argument there is, well, if you have all of these different ways that you can play, then the barrier to entry is low. You can choose how you want to play. But in my reality, in the way that I see that play out, is that the community decides what that barrier to entry is. And if the community is saying, no, you play this class and this build in action combat, and that's it. If you played in tab, you're throwing, then by force of peer pressure and meta pressure, people are going to have to play it a certain way. And so, I mean, that was more directed to your point, and then kind of the overarching question to you guys is: do you guys think that there's potentially too much player agency?
Well, and we talked about this last stream, right? Where we basically said Ashes doesn't need to get everything right. They need to do everything pretty well and get their core systems get their core systems like the node system right. Like they need to get a few systems and focus on those. So like the node system, the way the world develops around you, like building up and tearing down nodes, changing the world. That's what they need to get right. As long as combat is decent, they're going to be fine. I think it's better for the systems that aren't necessarily going to make or break the style of game to go with easy to learn or simple to learn and hard to master. And I think when you're going into too much player agency, you're going the opposite direction of that. It's hard to learn and hard to master.
Which I think is fine, honestly. Like I've always said, and I've said this for over a year now. If you're going to go tab in action and you're going to have kind of a choice between the two, if I tab target super and throw a fireball at him, I should do 100 damage. And if I'm in action and I need to aim and lead that a little bit and do all that, I should do 350 damage to him. And that way, the fact that I'm going to miss a good percentage of the time forces me to choose. Am I good at the skill shot? If I'm good at the skill shot, great. I'm going to be a great DPS. If I am bad at the skill shot, I can tab target and still have impact.
But then you're gonna run into issues of people being like, you have to play action combat because it's way better if you can land skill shots
and just get good.
Yeah, and just get good. And if you can't get good, you can't play that class and join us.
I know you've seen this before, Fane. It's the same thing with Overwatch, right? Like it's just click their forehead. Like just be better at the game. Like how many times has it been like just be better, right? And I understand that's not obviously a fair comparison to Ashes, but skill shot is skill shot. And what it comes down to is somebody who is good at the game will always tell somebody who is not good at the game, get good.
That's the answer to your whole thing right there. That's the thing that all of you are missing. It doesn't matter where you draw the line as far as the whole idea of telling people this is the way the game has to be played, so you have to play it that way or you're good. It doesn't matter. That line is going to be drawn somewhere, and then everybody below that line is going to be getting told by everybody above that line that you're not good if you're below it. So as far as increasing the skill gap because of the mixed hybrid tab. Like that part of the argument to me doesn't make a lot of sense. Just in general, for me, the entire concept, like, okay, so maybe you guys know this, maybe you don't. I have a video on my YouTube channel that is still the most watched video on my YouTube channel. It was the 6th one I ever put out. The 6th video I ever made on YouTube got over 5,000 views. It has over 400 reactions, that being the thumbs up, thumbs down. It has like 350 comments. The problem is that those reactions are like 3-to-1 down votes to up votes. So it was overwhelmingly disliked. And the whole point of the video was that the biggest flaw I see in this game is the attempt to appeal to everyone. They're blending hybrid versus tab. I mean, they're blending action versus tab. They're blending open world with theme park. They're all this stuff. They're having PvP be a focus of the game, but we're also going to have raiding and like all of these things. And now I got just destroyed in the comment section. Everybody just quoted over and over again Steven saying that this game won't be for everyone, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm like, he can say that, but what they're doing, and actions speak louder than words, tells me they are trying to appeal to everyone. And in my life, I have discovered that when you try to appeal to everyone, you end up appealing to no one.
Well, and in your defense in that, Steven's comment, again, just the way that I mean, my interpretation of this here, Steven's comment about this game won't be for everybody is more in line with it being open world PvP, it being in line with that it's not going to be just log in, do your dailies, and you're done. Like, it's going to take work. It's going to take effort. You're going to get ganked. You're going to deal with bullshit. Like, that, to me, that's what he's referring to when he says that this game is not for everybody. He's not saying this game isn't going to be for everyone because it's going to be PvP focused or because it's going to be PvE focused. He's saying it just based on the aspect of it being an MMORPG and going back to the roots of MMORPGs rather than what we see today with WoW.
Well, what I'm boiling it kind of down to is he has said it's not going to be for everyone, but he's trying to appeal to a lot of different types or styles in certain areas. So like this is tentatively a hardcore sandbox MMO. Like EVE Online is just a straight hardcore sandbox, right? That is definitely not for everyone. He is trying to add in things that will increase the longevity of the game and make it a little bigger, appeal a little more to casuals. And that's where he's taking the stance. That's like why he's doing the freehold stuff. He's trying to put a niche or a place in the game for people who aren't going to take this as like a hardcore job, right? They're not going to be playing 40 plus hours a week. He's trying to put a place in the game for the person who logs in like 10 hours a week. And I think that's the idea there that he's taking with the combat system. Oh, well, they can mess around, play whatever style they want, and it'll be fun. I am kind of taking the stance that that's going to turn some of them off because it's going to be too much. For those types of players, they just want to come in, follow guide, play here and there, grind out some stuff, go harvest some stuff, and adding in all these complexities of switching back and forth and adding that kind of complexity into the game. As I said, it's no longer easy to learn and hard to master. It's hard to learn and hard to master. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of the way I'm taking it. It's like,
it doesn't give us enough direction. It doesn't allow me, like when I log into New World, I know I need to get good with action combat. Like, and it's one of the main reasons why I am playing New World. Like, legitimately, it is I don't have a lot of action combat under my belt when it comes to gaming. And so I'm using New World to help develop that skill.
Right.
And so I know that going into it, that's what I'm going to do. The same thing like with WoW, I know going into it, I'm there for the raiding. I'm there for the tab target combat, the raiding, the shit crafting system, the done over redone lore. Like, you know what you're getting into with games. With Ashes, and again, we're in development, right? So maybe we just shouldn't even know yet. But it almost seems like I won't have a particular direction in which I am going because too much is trying to be done. And I hate making this comparison. It legitimately pains me, but it's what's the spaceship game that's never going to come out?
Yeah, Star Citizen.
Star Citizen. It's the Star Citizen idea where they keep trying to do too much, and And I mean, and people have said it, like, and I try to justify and say, like, no, it's not going to be the next Star Citizen. Like, they've shown a lot of progress because they have, like, they have put a lot out, especially as quickly as they have. But there is so much that they're trying to do, and so many people, and we have seen this from Steven when it comes to the content creator program and the boot camp, and not wanting to tell people no, and him being open about that. Like, I understand he's got a good heart, he's a good dude, he wants to make, but at the same time, a decision has to be made.
Yep.
At a certain point, the dictator side of Steven's got to come out. He's got to put his foot down. He's got to say, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to do this. Or they need somebody there to do that. Like, no, this is too much. We're doing too much. We just need to do this. Let's do this. Let's focus on this. And let's make this the best fucking thing. The best version that this has ever been.
Yeah. I mean, you don't want to be the Cheesecake Factory, right?
Yeah.
I always bring this fucking example
100%.
up. And I know you guys, but like,
100%.
there's no reason that we're eating spaghetti and tacos and pizza and a burger and a salad all next to each other. Like, there's just no reason for that. Do one thing and do it well. And you don't want to be like, the other side of that is WildStar. You don't want to be WildStar, where it's like so hardcore that you're alienating 99% of the population. Right. But I think the only thing worse than I'm not good enough to play this game is I'm paying $15 a month. I log in, and I can only really access 8% of the game, 12% of the game, 20% of the game. Because now I not only have to deal with the fact that, like, I'm only good at this little point, but I can see everybody else doing the stuff that I want to do. Right? It would be like going out to, you're single, you're in college, you go out to a bar with your friends, and they're all hitting on girls, and they're all having a lot of success with girls and having fun, and you're just standing in the corner holding your little beer, drinking it. Like, that's not going to be fun. You just got to get good. You got to get good, guys.
Get the forehead.
Get some game. Get some game.
But you know what I'm saying, right? Like, it's a difference. You would be better off in that situation sitting at home and just being like, at least it's not being shoved in my face that I'm not good enough at the rest of this stuff.